Fabulous Fabi Caruana, the rocket from America. And here we're going to look at 5 of his most amazing moves. Remember to like this video and subscribe to the Chess.com channel. If you're not already subscribed, what on earth are you doing? All this brilliant content for free. Come on, get on the case. Anyway, see how many of the moves you can find. We've got 5 stunning possibilities here, and I hope you'll enjoy my pick. On to example number 1. This first example is Fabi playing against ex-FIDE world champion Ruslan Ponomaryov. He has the white pieces. He has 3 dangerous pieces hanging around that little bear king on a7. Now remember, do play along and see if you can find the moves. What was the stunning move here that forced a winning attack? Pause if you need to. Well, rook e7. Oh yeah. The rook just slides its way into the position, threatening a devastating attack on the c7 square. But you might be thinking, can't black just take that rook? Well, he did. And now comes the second blow. Bishop to a6. White threatens queen to b7 checkmate. And after king takes a6, the only way to avoid that, the a8 square is now free. So queen to a8 is checkmate. Stunning stuff there. Really impressive visual sort of, shall we say, connection to the chessboard. Let's move on to example number 2. Fabi's victim in this game is none other than the great American Hikaru Nakamura. I guess the guys are big rivals. Hikaru has just pushed his pawn to e5, giving it a little bit of forky there. Stabby, forky. And the next move reminds me of another very famous queen sacrifice, and this is really for the expert players out there. Maybe in the comments below you can mention this queen sacrifice, who played it as white. It also happened on the f6 square. Who was it? An old player from the Russian sort of area? You might get it. Can you get it? Well, queen takes f6 is the next stunning move here. And this is a beautiful positional sacrifice, giving up the queen. We all love a queen sack, don't we? And after bishop takes f6, white now has this fantastic square for his horsey. Now, you don't see many GMs saying that. In the middle of the board. It's a knight. Don't call it horsies. Don't get bad habits. Maybe you shouldn't be listening to me then, but hey ho. And after queen to d8, defending the bishop here, the other knight jumps into f5. And you can see white has brilliant pieces here. Rook b8, knight takes f6 check, and this allows the rook to dive in. And even though white only has a knight and a bishop for the queen, you can see that white's pieces are dominating the board, and often the initiative is much more important than material. That's the case here, and white went on to win this game. A bit long for this series, but this is a beautiful queen sacrifice. On to example number 3. This next example is Fabi with the white pieces against Emanuel Berg, a very strong grandmaster from Sweden. And it really reminds me this bang, bang, bang. It's like a hammer knocking down the wall, the black wall around the king in numerous little places here. It reminds me of Macau Tao at his greatest. Tao loved attacking. He loved ripping his opponent's king apart. And Fabi here definitely shows a bit of Tao-like flair. Tao, of course, being an ex-world champion. Maybe Fabi will one day. Who knows? So, can you see how white did the job here? Well, the first blow is the brilliant knight takes f7, drawing the black king out into the open. The black king has to take this knight, and one hammer blow is now met by another hammer blow. What is the next brilliant move here? Rook takes e6, and this draws that black king even further out into the open. If the rook is not taken, white has ideas of coming in with loads of checks on these 2 squares, and there's numerous possibilities here. In the game, black played knight takes c5. Let's just have a quick look, see what happens if he would have taken that rook. You can clearly see the king is very naked in the middle of the board. A naked king is not a good king. It might get arrested for exposure. Don't make your king naked. And here, bishop c4 check forces the king further out, and now we simply have queen h5 check, and after something like g5, queen f7 check. The hunt continues. Knight to f6, and you can see this king is running around, and of course quite a complicated variation, but queen c4 is the final checkmate. And this is really combining brilliant calculation with brilliant vision. After knight to c5, as in the game, white continued by rook takes d6. And now queen to f4 check, and the king has to defend the rook, otherwise white's going to be 2 pawns up. And here the checks continue, and now king to d7, checks continue, it's blow after blow. And here queen f5 check, and you can see they just keep on coming. And now rook takes e6, a brilliant move there. And the point being here, black resigns. If queen takes, we have bishop takes c6 check, winning a lot of material and the game. And a very nice idea. It might look like black has a bit of a back check there, but how better way to win a game than by meeting a check with a check? And that could have been an even more beautiful finish to this brilliant attack. Now Fabi has the black pieces, and again, queen sacrifices are so much fun to play, obviously only when they work. I've often sacrificed my queen, lost it, and it hasn't been too good. But this next example is very, very nice. It's Fabi with the black pieces, and here he just plays pawn takes c3, offering his queen on d8, which has to be taken. And now the black rook slides in with ideas of coming to the back rank with a deadly check. And you can see the combination here of bishop, bishop, rook and pawn are really flooding through white's position. This actually does remind me slightly of one of Bobby Fischer's most amazing games, his game of the century, in the way that he got his bishop to a similar square and offered his queen. And now after queen to c2, trying to cover the d1 square, a takes b4, these pawns become absolute powerhouses. Knight d2, and this is rather desperate because after pawn takes d2, you can see white's given up a lot of material. And now rook to a8, trying to force a way into the back rank. The rooks were exchanged off. White rather greedily grabbed the pawn, but now rook a1 check, bishop to c1 and b3. And after queen d1, one more blow here, bishop takes b2, and white resigns. So very nice combination there. And, you know, sometimes queens are not worth as much as the little guys. Don't get carried away with your queens. But if you are giving up your queen, make sure you calculate it, because otherwise you look like a damn fool. And that's only my job and Ben Feingold's job. This last example is a lovely demonstration of how to rip your opponent's king apart. In chess, you have to really be rather violent to be a strong player. There were stories of one English grandmaster watching wildlife shows of wolves literally ripping up deers before he played chess to get in the mood for his game. Can you guess who that was? Well, it wasn't me, by the way. Anyway, what is the move here? Rook to f5. I love this move. It's a very simplish move on the surface because we're getting rid of the pawn and the knight. The only two pieces really that are defending the black king. The rook will also take the knight if it's not captured. And there's one more great move here, bringing yet another piece to the attack, knight to d4. If we can win the queen, we will. And after it moves, the knight even changes direction. And this knight takes a very funny route into f5. We can see black is in a lot of trouble. Knight to f4 was tried. And white simply removes this defender, takes the bishop with check. And after knight takes f5, queen h5 is coming, rook takes g3 is coming. White has three very strong pieces attacking, and 3 is generally the magic number when attacking a lone king. And white goes on to win in some fashion here. King g6. I like this. White repeats the position once, basically saying, I'm the boss. And after king g6, rook to f1, forcing the queen away to a bad square. Here comes my favourite pawn, Harry. And now the queen can't defend g4 anymore. So the queen snips its way in again. And after knight to h6, black is losing his queen and losing the game. Very nice combinations there from Fabi. So some brilliant combinations there. Which was your favourite move from those 5 examples? I quite liked number 1. Who's going to qualify for the candidates? All these things you should discuss below. Maybe it will be Fabi again, or do you like someone else? Maybe a little bit of Ding Liren, which we're going to hopefully do a video on soon. If you want to see that video, do like this video. Do subscribe to the Chess.com channel. It really helps. Chess.com, the best place to find lots of instructional videos from top grandmasters and me. You know, I'm still a grandmaster. Maybe not that high, but I'm somewhere on the list. So do enjoy, and thank you so much for spending time to watch this video. We'll bring you more players in a jiffy, old boy.